AFCC has arrested a former Power Minister Saleh Mama after weeks of surveillance after he was sentenced. And Turkey-led PDP has declared former President Goodluck Jonathan for presidential primary election. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channel Star. Let's begin with a news that seems to be quite interesting and will be changing a lot as far as the 2027 elections is concerned. And that's about the former President Goodluck Jonathan, who has today been giving a lifeline and secured a major political boost within the Kabiru Turkey-led faction of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. After today, the party formally has waived and giving him a clear path in participating in the election and with screening requirements ahead of the presidential primary, effectively clearing him as its sole presidential candidate for the 2027 race. After the event today in Abuja, former Niger State Governor Babangida Aliyu, who represented former Vice President Namadi Sambo and the PDP screening panel, said Jonathan's long political trajectory from deputy governor to president made further screening unnecessary. The committee also granted a similar waiver to Taufik Alakbaja for the Oyo governorship contest while continuing the screening of governorship aspirants across several states. The development comes amid renewed internal battles over the soul of the PDP. Jonathan expected to submit his nomination forms earlier this week in Abuja. Take a listen to the former Niger State Governor.
And those who have been attempting.
All right. There's so much more to talk about. From the man who is hiding after he was sentenced to 75 consecutive years to be spent in jail, the former minister under the Buhari government who money is related to projects in the power sector is being said, the court said he's a thief and he's been sentenced. Now the SEC said he's caught him. We'll find out, and we'll take you also in the midst of the ADC internal politics ahead of the presidential primary. A lot is happening within that party. But we serve you your political roundup stories first.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has called on Nigerians to shun divisive narratives and embrace the unity of the country. He stated this during the public presentation of the autobiography of former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, titled My Life of Duty and Allegiance, held in Abuja. At the event, former President Goodluck Jonathan said the author emphasizes the need for politicians to desist from acts capable of jeopardizing the peace of the country, including do-or-die politicking. The National Human Rights Commission says it has recorded a total of 266,787 complaints across its offices nationwide in just the month of April. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Mr. Tony Ojukwu, stated this during the presentation of the report in Abuja. According to him, the complaint reflects the everyday realities faced by Nigerians and underscores the challenges related to discrimination, insecurity, abuse of authority, and economic hardship. He says the Commission will continue to monitor broader patterns of violations across the country. Ahead of the 2027 general election, Senator Alin Dume has again emerged as a consensus candidate for the Borno South senatorial seat under the platform of the All Progressives Congress APC. Addressing journalists shortly after meeting his supporters in Biu, the headquarters of Biu local government area of the state, the senator thanked the people of his constituency for the confidence reposed in him. Speaking on the abduction of the Ngoshe residents and the recent abduction of pupils in Musa community in Askira Uba local government area, Senator Ndume asked the federal government to do more in providing security for the citizens of the country. The Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, Senator Onyekachi Nweboyi, has emerged as the All Progressives Congress consensus candidate for the Ebonyi North Senatorial District ahead of the 2027 general elections. Senator Nweboyi emerged unopposed during the party's senatorial primary election held at Mbeke Ward in Ebonyi local government area of Ebonyi State, as party faithful and supporters turned out in large numbers for the exercise, which featured Senator Nweboyi as his sole aspirant for the senatorial ticket. He promised more work for his constituents as he seeks re-election for the second term at the Senate. The race for the All Progressives Congress governorship ticket in Nasarawa State has taken a new dimension, as leading aspirant Hassan Liman declared that he will not step down for any other aspirant ahead of the party's primary election. Liman made the declaration in Lafia while responding to questions from journalists on speculations that some aspirants were being persuaded to withdraw from the contest. He noted that he remains fully committed to the race and will participate in the primary elections. He also expressed confidence in Governor Abdullahi Sule's commitment to democratic principles, stating that the governor has repeatedly affirmed the rights of every aspirant who purchased nomination forms to contest. He maintained that even if he were asked to step down, he would decline, reaffirming his determination to seek the APC governorship ticket through the party's primary election. Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak has endorsed Ambassador Abdul Fattah Yahaya Sariki as his preferred successor ahead of the All Progressives Congress governorship primaries scheduled for May 21st, 2026. In a statement issued after what he described as extensive consultations with party leaders and structures, the governor praised Sariki as a young, pro-people and broad-minded political mobilizer with deep grassroots goodwill across the state. Abdurazak, however, stressed that the endorsement does not shut the door against other aspirants seeking the APC ticket, urging party members to rally behind Sariki in the interest of unity, cohesion, and continued success of the ruling party in Kwara State. The governor also commended the discipline and statesmanship of the other aspirant, noting that all had demonstrated the capacity to sustain the achievements of his administration over the past 7 years.
So when the FCC says he has eagle eyes, and wherever you go, wherever you may be, his eagle eyes will catch you, it might just be true. Maybe it's under Ola Olukoede that those eagle eyes are working, because today they may have proven that. So they say today Nigerians, the FCC, the anti-graft agency in Nigeria, have taken the war to another dramatic turn when they today confirmed the arrest of former Power Minister Saleh Maman barely days after he was convicted and sentenced in absentia to 75 years imprisonment over a 33.8 billion money laundering scandal tied to the Mambila and Zungeru hydroelectric power project. The FCC chairman Ola Olukoede says operatives tracked and arrested the former minister in Kano at about 3:30 a.m. following what he described as an extensive intelligence-led manhunt after Maman allegedly failed to appear for sentencing. The anti-graft agency also arrested two other suspects accused of shielding the convicted ex-minister as authorities intensify investigation into the hideout where he was found. Take a listen to Mr. Olukoede.
I'm happy to announce to Nigerians that at about 3:30 a.m. this morning, we arrested Mr. Saleh Maman somewhere in Kaduna. This is a test of the commitment of the federal government of Nigeria to the fight against corruption in Nigeria, and to assure Nigerians that anyone who has pilfered government or national resources will not go unpunished. And the eagle eye of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will always catch up with you wherever you are hiding. So it's important for us to let Nigerians know that we are working. There is no area that we will not go into. We will not leave any area unturned or untouched, just for us to ensure that we fulfill our mandate and to assure Nigerians that we will uphold our mandate, ensure that everyone, whether private or public person who has stolen Nigerian money, will be investigated, and be brought to book. We have discovered that it was actually being protected all this while. And where we effected the arrest, we've arrested 2 other Nigerians within alongside. And also the property, the ownership of the property and all of that, they are still under investigation, because it's actually a crime for you to harbor or to protect or to give a protection to a convicted felon.
All right, there, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, the chairman of the EFCC, making the announcement of the arrest of Salim Ahmed today. Well, as Nigeria's political permutations ahead of 2027 continue to intensify, we're seeing more and more activities and a lot of conversation, especially within the opposition. And the landscape is witnessing fresh realignment, strategic calculations, and growing debates over coalition politics, leadership ambitions, and the search for a formidable challenger to President Bola Tinubu and the APC. From the ADC presidential primaries to the controversy and reactions trailing former Minister Rotimi Amechi's comment on Atiku Abubakar, questions are mounting over whether the opposition can truly unite, build public trust, and present a credible alternative capable of reshaping the country's political direction. Tonight, I'm being joined by a media entrepreneur, publisher, and politician, Chief Dele Momodu, who is live for us virtually on the program tonight. Thanks so much, Chief Momodu, for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Shion, and how are you tonight?
I'm good, yeah. You were very optimistic the last time you were on the program, and you felt that the caliber of a lot of people that have congregated in the ADC, there's no way in the world that President Bola Tinubu and the APC can withstand them. But it does look like things are falling apart. Peter Obi is left, Kwankwanzura is left, and now we're seeing the kind of the tonality of Mr. Rotimi Amechi's statement linked to him. He's going against Atiku Abubakar. It does look like the center is no longer holding for the opposition ADC, where we thought that the coalition has its base.
Well, I listened to the statement of Mr. Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, and I was quite taken aback because I tend to see him as a gentleman and a patriotic Nigerian who understands that the game ahead is not going to be for the faint-hearted. Now, I'm happy today that from a zone in the South-South, we are just hearing about the declaration of former President Goodluck Jonathan. So it tells you that the game ahead is going to be a game of the big boys. In fact, the biggest boys, not just the big boys. President Jonathan is formidable. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, being the current president, is extraordinarily formidable. And then the combination of Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, if what they are planning goes through, is also going to be formidable. So which means we are going to have a very, very big fish from the South-South, a lesser big fish from the Southeast, and the biggest fish of them from the Southwest. So which direction would ADC then look strategically? We're talking strategy. We're not talking emotion or anything. Strategy. There is a pattern to elections globally, whether you are in America. That's why you will see that on the night of elections, CNN analysts always call it from elections. They know the blue states, they know the red states. Nigeria cannot be an exception. Not even Donald Trump could have arranged an election for himself without the support, the formidable support of his party and general fans. So Mr. Amechi, in the name of Almighty God, should please cool temper. That is my plea with him, cool temper. In African culture, which I know he knows very well, he went to a university in Port Harcourt, and I know his love for literature and books, should know that a potential presidential candidate and possible president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria must watch his temper and temperament and does not need to attack Atiku. What is his grounds? He says Atiku says he does not believe in zoning and that we should go to the primary. Any patriotic Nigerian in opposition, we know the danger involved in going to any primary at this time. You have barely maybe 8 months to the next election. ADC is just discovering itself. You are going to need a lot of resources in the coming weeks and coming months for you to be able to fight the APC behemoth. So why would anybody, unless somebody has too much money stashed away at home, why would any opposition leader want to go through that trouble of wasting money on internal politics? I believe we have enough elders in ADC, enough experienced people in ADC who can sit down and look at the arithmetic and the mathematics.
Well, I mean, Chief Mamadou,
of the coming election.
Yeah, Chief Mamadou, what
Yes.
you are implying and suggesting is that the ADC should go for a consensus arrangement. Is that what you're inferring?
Yes, please. Yes, for me, that would be the most sensible thing for them to do. So they do not have the time nor the resources to waste. So I don't know if I'm surprised, because I thought Mr. Rotimi Amechi should be preaching frugality at this stage to say, look, our party, let's sit down in a room, let's have, the main stakeholders, and let us agree.
Chief Mamadou, are you saying that Amechi, since you mentioned Jonathan and the other southern aspirants or candidates who are emerging, are you suggesting Atiku should step down for Amechi? Amechi should be the consensus candidate? Or what are you saying?
No, strategically, I'm not even talking about Atiku now. Strategically, you have followed me, you've interviewed me several times. There is no basis for zoning. Anybody who wants to remove Tinubu would have to come from the opposite direction. All of them are going to split themselves into pieces, and strategically, if ADC is serious now, they had better go and find an Atiku, a Tambua from the northern, because that's the only place now that is free. There is no zoning in the constitution of Nigeria. So let's stop distracting ourselves. Anybody who's talking about zoning right now wants to hand it over to Tinubu on a platter.
So there in the ADC, there are about 3 people that I know that have obtained the nomination forms, which is a criteria for you being able to be on the ballot. Ayatuding is one, Atiku is another, Amechi is one. So if you are saying that the people should come from the north, you are invariably saying that Amechi should stand by to be a vice, which he has said he doesn't want to be a vice. He wants to be the candidate of
I have
the
not
ADC.
suggested to him that he should be a vice. The truth of the matter is that he does not have the capacity to defeat Jonathan or to defeat Tinubu. He does not have the capacity. He's my very good friend. And if I can tell Tinubu the truth, then I should be able to tell Amechi the truth. He does not have that capacity. That is the truth. Unless he just wants to play a game. And that game will be very, very unfortunate.
What game are you thinking that he's likely to play?
No, anybody who is serious about getting power away from Tinubu should know that there is a pattern to elections, and I stand by it. There is nobody today in ADC who has contested not just as many times as Atiku. But in terms of deliverables, in fact, the most unfortunate thing that my friend said was that Atiku is unelectable. How can someone, an Atiku in the Northwest, in the last election, that recorded 2.3 million votes, while Obi got 350,000, and Tinubu got 2.6 million, and Kwankwaso got 1.26 million. How can an Atiku that got 1.74 million in the Northeast, and Obi that got 315,000, and Tinubu that got 1.185 million, and Kwankwaso 126,343, that is in the Northeast. How can you say that an Atiku in the Southwest that got 941,000, and Obi that got 806,000, Tinubu 2.2 million, and Kwankwaso 16,644, an Atiku that got in the North Central 1,087,893,000, Obi 1,113,790, Tinubu 1.6 million, and Kwankwaso 55,000. Atiku in the Southeast 91,198, Obi 1.9 million in the Southeast. That is where the area it comes from. Tinubu 127,000, and Kwankwaso 8,000. How can Atiku in the South that got 717? That's where everything Amechi comes from. 717,000. Obi 1,210,000. Tinubu 799,000. And Kwankwaso 17,000. How can you say it's not electable? So you are now going to build in the next few weeks and months. You will build a new coalition that will be able to give Rotimi and Amechi all that. I cannot see any path in that direction.
Isn't this sad though? Because there are those who are an average Nigerian who don't like the APC and President Bola Tinubu's handling of the nation, who think that they may likely want to change him, because that is the power and the right of every citizen to either keep or change anybody that is in power. And they're looking towards an opposition, a coalition. That those who have said the only way you can remove Bola Tinubu and the APC out of prominence, they have, had their feet right in the ground since 2015. For you to be able to displace them, you must have a very strong coalition. And that those who are now disappointed that rather than coming together, things are even getting worse than it looked in 2023, when Tinubu had no strong support from within his own party. All the policy of his government was against him. Tinubu had no as much governors on his side, but now Tinubu has 31 governors, had huge resources, both monetary and other resources available to defeat anyone. And now the opposition is even more divided. Isn't this causing for concern for the opposition forces and those who think that there's a need for a coalition?
They are divided in the South because of big egos. Northerners understand the game. The South have a lot of people with big egos, and this is not a student union election. We're talking about the biggest black nation on earth, and I'm happy that the big juggernauts are finally throwing their hearts in the ring. So we are not going to be joking. Strategically, you can see that the North right now has only projected one solid major candidate who understands what it takes. He knows that it's not a game of emotion, it's a game of mathematics. And that is why the North is not proliferating their potential. They have a lot of people who could have thrown their hearts in the ring. They have the Eru-5, they have the Tambuas, they have them. But you can see that strategically, unless you say the northern part of Nigeria is no longer a part of Nigeria, or that the constitution rules them out. And since the constitution does not rule them out, then it means they are smarter than our own guys in the South, who everybody in the South now wants to be a president. But in the North, how many people have you seen?
Maybe the reason for this is because people now think that it's time for for the South to have an 8 years after an 8 years of Buhari. And don't forget, Mr. Momodu, President Bola Tinubu from Lagos State. There is a Seyi Makinde in Oyo State, right? And that's a very big factor right there. If you underestimate that young man, at your own peril. Yes, you're talking about the Rotimi Amechi of this world. You're talking about Dula Jonathan, those who say that's going to be another joker in southern Nigeria. But it's going to be an interesting one. Those who say, look, with all of this, it makes the work of Bola Tinubu and the APC easier.
How can it, I know you are a journalist and you are a lawyer. So definitely your mathematics is very wrong. If you have a Seyi Makinde in Oyo State, it then means that we take away part of Tinubu's votes, not just in Oyo, but in parts of Yoruba land. Some of those attacking Tinubu today, you will not believe it, the majority of them are from the Southwest, because they are very enlightened electorates in the Southwest, and they don't care whether you are our son or not. If you are not performing and you are not satisfying their needs, they will go against you. So when you now walk across to the South and you now have Goodluck Jonathan, of course, is going to chip away from the votes of Tinubu. When you then finally you reach Obi's territory, then you will realize that it will chip away again from Tinubu. So where will Tinubu now get is, look, elections have ethnic coloration all over the world. That's why Donald Trump was always playing the racial card. He will tell you it's a race between the blacks and the whites. It's the same thing that's going to happen in Nigeria. If the North has only one candidate, eventually, one strong candidate, then all these other candidates are going to divide them. So the permutation is different from the last time. The last time, Buhari was still alive to support his party, APC. Today, the field is very clear.
So, Mr. Mamadou, you are saying invariably that in today's Nigeria, for the 2027 election, the only person that is formidable enough to defeat Bola Tinubu and the APC is Atiku Abubakar. Is that right?
Oh, if the North feels him, oh yes, certainly. If the North feels one candidate, nobody can defeat them. Nobody. I'm sure about that. Yeah, I haven't seen that proliferation in the North. I haven't seen it. Everybody that is shouting today that they want to be president, they are from the South. I don't understand why.
You bet your Lagos loft house on that.
I mean, I would expect that the Southern candidates should meet urgently, if possible, and then maybe they will withdraw for Jonathan or for Peter Obi. But if Peter Obi and Jonathan and Seyi Makinde decide to continue in the race, trust me, it's going to backfire for the South.
Interesting perspective. These conversations continue, but thank you so much, Chief Dele Momodu, for your analysis. I call you a former journalist because you used to be a political journalist in the days where you were in Concord, and now you put your leg in the NCP as a presidential candidate, and now you're deeply involved in the PDP and in the ADC now this time around. But thank you so much indeed for your time on the program tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Seun.
I appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Good. The conversation even gets really more interesting because when I come back from this break, everyone, another perspective yet on the issue of the ADC and those who could possibly win or defeat President Bola Tinubu. There are those who will say, is Tinubu defeatable? There are those who will say, yes, he's defeatable. I get some other perspective on this matter after this break. Everyone for staying with us on the program. Now, let's get a conversation and move it forward. You heard what Chief Dele Momodu said about the situation in the ADC, and it was categorical about defeating Bola Tinubu if that is the agenda of the opposition, because he's the man to beat. He's got the ticket and he's probably going to get a benefit of chance of refusal. I'm not looking forward to anybody getting the ticket away from Bola Tinubu in the APC. So, yeah, as a man, everyone will be mentioning his name over and over again. But beyond Atiku Abubakar, Amechi, don't forget, there is an Ayatollah, right? And I keep asking the question. I saw a video online where the man says, if we are to move forward, he's got a 40-year track record in the private sector. He's founded, built businesses, and he's done well for himself. Is Ayatollah the alternative and the kind of candidate that Nigeria needs? Well, it might not be as popular as Atiku Abubakar and Amechis of this world, but is he the gentle, calm candidate that the ADC need to field to defeat Bola Tinubu? Chief Sowumi is live on the program for us to give us some perspectives about what is emerging in the ADC. Thanks so much, Mr. Sowumi, for joining us tonight.
Joe, it's nice to be here. How are you?
It. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Let's go.
The race is getting heated up. It does look like things are pretty much settled in your state, Ogun. We know Adeola has gotten the nod in the APC, and he's gotten a way ahead. You know, in the scheme of things in Ogun State, and I know that you also have your eyes.
I'm the deal clincher in Ogun.
Really?
If I decide that I'm going to go through, I have a ticket already, but I'll tell you the party later. If I decide I'm going to go through, it will be a very terrible 3-horse race: Ogun Central, Ogun East, and Ogun West. We'll see how that pans out. If I look at the situation and say, okay, I don't want to proceed because of the rather sad mien I have, looking at the way the democratic space has become in the country, whoever I backs will win. But that's not the big conversation.
So, Yayi is Yewa, right?
Yayi is Yewa, Adebutu is Jebu, actually Iperu, and I'm Abeokuta Central. So we'll see how that goes. But
so you're Egba?
Oh, everybody knows that. I'm as Egba can.
A cocky one at that.
At that. Very, very proud one.
So Yewa versus Ijebu versus Egba.
Yeah, so the people who would decide now is Egba. And the simple reason is that we're persuaded by the 50-year argument of the Yewa people, but it's not a settled matter. We're not definitely persuaded that an Iperu man who has been there for 8 years will now be handing power to an Iperu man. That's like a pipe dream. But even at that, there are other fundamental issues in the body politics of Ogun, and Ogun is particularly different.
Ogun is going to be very interesting this time around, more than ever.
Ogun is very different.
I saw what happened between Benga Daniel, your former principal,
not just that. What about
and
what about where are you going to put Ibukun Lamoso? Where are you going to put Dimeji? Where are you going to put the farmers who got Dimeji Bankole? And bloody hell, where are you going to put me? When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. But bottom line is, congratulations, my dear friend Solomon Adeola Yayi. You've gotten the ticket. I've called round a lot of the big stakeholders in Ogun West because I know they have been Director General many times over there. They are quite happy and they are just saying, oh, you guys in Egba, please, please, please. We've been waiting for 50 years. Can you just help us over the line? So it's a very strong argument. But you know, the Egbas, we are people that when we are upset, we keep quiet. When we're talking, we're not upset. We have a saying in Egba land that the Egbas don't protest by talking. We protest with our leg. When we get to, but this is not an interesting. Don't let's go into that because I'm uninterested.
So the thing is that if Solomon Adeola Yayi is watching and listening tonight,
I don't know about that.
He might like to know there are a lot of battle ahead. He needs to get good lawyers.
Ogun is different. Ogun State has never gone to the highest bidder. In 1999, Oshoba was not the wealthiest. He lost, but Derupako was wealthier than Oshoba won. In 2003, Daniel was not the wealthiest. Oshoba was the wealthiest. Oshoba lost. Daniel won. In 2011, Amusun was not the wealthiest. The kind of resources we put behind Boyega Isaka and Olurin, they lost. Amusun won. In 2015, Dakpo couldn't have been the wealthiest because the governor Adamusun was running a different show. He lost Dakpo. Ogun can be
very interesting. And that's why I said Adeola should get good lawyers. He should brace up. The storm is coming. I'm hearing a lot, but we'll see how that plays. Let me move away from that.
Okay. Good luck, Team Ogun. We'll see you soon. Team Egba, we'll see. We'll talk soon.
And you heard the argument from Chief Dele Momodu about how 2027 can pan out and how things can go in 2027. He is of the opinion that to defeat in today's Nigeria, in our in the politics of Nigeria, if you want to take out Bola Tinubu and the APC politically speaking, you've got to have an Atiku Abubakar. And there are those who say, maybe not. There is an Ayatollah, a strong Kano man.
Let me help you. You know, I listened to him, and I think that he has fallen into the error that most of them always fall into. And that's why it always appears as if Shegun is like some kind of rebel. I'm not a rebel. I'm just interested in these things, and I study them a lot. Every argument Dele Momodu has put on the table has been a linear mathematics argument, basically imagining that the numbers belong to one individual and that the only thing that carries numbers is tribe. Everybody who knows anything about election planning and election estimations will tell you that there's still another leg you have to introduce to it, which is the science of the mood of the nation. Are you listening, Shehu?
I'm listening to you.
In the business of the science of the mood of the nation, first thing you will first of all see is that what is the percentage of Nigerians that believe that the power should be in the south? You have to factor that in. Then you will go to the north and unbundle it. Yes, but Tinubu may be the president of Nigeria and he may be a Yoruba man. Does that mean that they don't have governors in the north who want to go back? They don't have ministers. They don't have commissioners. They don't have chairmen of local governments. They don't have all of that. So, like, basically, Bola Tinubu is just sitting there in the villa and there's nobody else in the north. So you will have to, first of all, try and go deeper to look at what are his numbers. Then you do the mood assessment. You go into the north today, even in their private party, they are singing Omologo and dancing heartily to it. Look, that's which Dele is saying is not correct and is punching above his weight in terms of this kinds of analysis. It takes time to learn it. I will say that. The second thing is that I didn't originally see the Amici interview until my attention was called to read that maybe like he was rude or he did say something nice about Atiku. And, you know, that's my former house. So a lot of things would come to me. So I then went to look at the interview. Rotimi, you're a very brilliant man. Rotimi is very brilliant. Under a different circumstance, his scaling up as to his capability to be president is very high. You know why? Rotimi kept linking it to nationalism. He kept linking it to being the president of all Nigeria. He kept speaking about what he needs to do in the north. He kept speaking about what he needs to do even for the southeast. He kept saying, if you cannot give them a space, you have to let them go. Rotimi that guy is not as, no wonder he was able to come second behind Bola Tinubu. So if Dele is assuming that a primary that has not been done, Rotimi will lose, he's joking. The last time Rotimi was anywhere, he was actually a minister of Southeastern extraction, but who did a lot of things in the north, the road, and he worked with a lot of northern boys who are within his own age group. Where do they know their science? So, but that's that. For Atiku, I think that Atiku can win. Do not be deceived.
The primary or the election?
The primaries is even a lot easier for him than the election, but he can win that election.
He knows how to win primaries.
No. I heard when they said Atiku doesn't know how to win an election, but they're not doing the analysis right. There are critical things generally taking place in the body politics of today that if you give up on Atiku, you must be a big fool. So if anybody is getting angry and irritating Atiku, stop irritating him, he may be president. But you see, you will be sad for our country if you look at the way the democratic space is and you see that it's becoming difficult for you to see brilliance come forward because of the kinds of stupid arguments you hear when people just dash people all of the numbers in their territory. If Peter Obi can take numbers from Lagos territory, which is Bola Tinubu's territory, what makes you think that numbers in territory belongs to only the people that are traditionally from that territory? 2023 should have shown us that those type of simplistic argument is gone. If you get to Kano, you actually expect the Bola Tinubu not to get any numbers from Kano. Using Kano as an example, he has the governor there, Abba Gida. He has Ganduje there. I'm coming. He has Ganduje there. Of recent, he now has Shekarau. And of course, you know he has the deputy senate president. Yeah. The optics there does not suggest that a mob, if you like, for want of a better word. Like, oh, a better word is the mass. Anybody can say he owns the mass. The mass operates on what you call temporary loyalty purchase. The franchise of that word belongs to one of my friends, Tux Murupe, you own that word. The temporary loyalty purchase will make you understand that everybody is going to curate some of their own, mass of people. And it may not be as simple as that. As that. You have also not, they have not also calculated what exactly are the Nigerians yearning for. At this particular time, Nigerians are tired of all the recycled elements. And therein, you begin to look at an Ayatollah. I say, this man, let's go and look at his CV. You dig into it, you find out that he has what you call a transformational leadership that is proven in terms of turnaround of even industries that were moribund. 145 of them at the last count is there in the CV, written in black and white. He has significant experience and knowledge and training in developmental economics, in banking, in corporate governance. He was former chairman of Nigerian NESC group, member of Harvard, member of Oxford. So the CV is pleasing. And if you look at the country today, one of the things that made Peter get those numbers he got the last time was because Nigerians are just looking for different. They would not have stayed with Peter if he resembled the status quo. So sometimes we need to flip with the not so status quo. But hey, let them even cross the hurdle of their primaries, however they want to do it, and let's see what they will throw for.
In 2022, right?
Yes.
Mr. Ayatollah stepped down, and his statement said that having looked at the murky and how they've balkanized the primary process by monetizing it, he's not going to get himself involved.
Yeah, but luckily they don't have to monetize this.
This time around, right? And he said he was withdrawing at the time. And so that those who will say,
will he withdraw?
Will he withdraw this time around? Well, those who will say, will he stick it out this time around?
I think that those are questions that he can answer. We're doing this analysis based on what
we can see.
What we can see that they're throwing up. He's throwing up competence. He's throwing up educational capability. He's throwing up experience. What are the others throwing up?
If Ayatollah gets the ticket of the ADC, is he the kind of person that can defeat Bola Tinubu?
Well, the thing is that if Ayatollah gets the ticket, he will have a bit of a struggle with name recognition, but luckily they have about 8 months. And he's not totally unknown in the north. Do you get? He's not unknown. All of these structures he has had, the bankers, the business people. I went to Dangote Refinery a couple of weeks ago. And as I was going through the experience of that refinery and seeing how gargantuan it was, I felt like literally just saying, can we not just give the country to Dangote? And it was not because of Dangote. It was because we are beginning to see that private sector experience plays a critical role in delivering projects. The things that the Nigerian people want are just deliverables. Nobody wants the deliverables.
The ordinary.
You want power,
you want light.
So when you now, from that backdrop, when you see the CV of someone like Ayatollah, you say, how did we even become a nation? This is where my sadness is. How did we become a nation that we don't even pay attention to the skills of those who are
quality,
the skills
character,
of those who are
competence,
the skills of those that were even recruiting for the top job, and then that talk that Bola is going to lose. I've not come here to help him win or not help him, but I can tell you for free, it's almost as if by the time we get to 2 o'clock that day, he would have won. And he may have won by a very massive vote. And one of the things you alluded to, which they are not paying attention to, is that they are assuming that all the territorial commanders of votes, like governors, like local government, they are assuming that on the day of the election, they will just go and sleep. And then you ask that, how does this even sound? How is this logical? The president is hemming himself with the territorial commanders. The president is ensuring that money goes to local government, money goes to say. People ask him, where's the wealth? Where's the wealth? It's with your governors, it's with your local government chairman. We have created a skewed conversation around politics in this country, which is that the man that is at the top is the one that is going to go to Sambisa to go. These things don't work like that. So I'm more scared now that it's almost as if the opposition has thrown it away.
But
the energy to pull us over the line, if opposition wants to do it, they have to understand that it's not linear numbers alone. It was linear numbers that made us do turn in 2015 when Jonathan was there. The man is dead now, blessed memory. They were just doing turn, and I was going berserk. These things don't yield to just linear number. Nobody listened. And it turned out that it actually listened to the science of numbers. So there is a science that drives how these things move. It's not just say, oh, there are 10 million people in Kano. The whole of 10 million people in Kano belong to one man. Oh, there are 5 million people in Lagos. The whole of 5 million people belong to one. If you want me to run you through the state by state, you'll be shocked of how difficult it is for some of them who are even boasting to how would they win. Look at the South-South, for instance. You have an unusual situation where you have the entire structure of the South-South, the entire 6, typically which would be PDP or opposition, they are all in the ruling party. Look at the Southeast. Almost all the leaders there, bar none, maybe EOT that has not even publicly come to say is there. Almost all of them are saying this is where they are. And some of them are doing well. Look at the Southwest. Of course, the Southwest are very Republican. They will just be all over the place. But even at that, people are campaigning, and even no matter the problems they're having in their own situation, all of them are saying, we are for Bola Tinubu, we are for Bola Tinubu. But it's not as easy as that.
If you do the math, statistically, the voting population is about 60% more than the party membership voting.
Of course, exactly.
So it then tells you something that non-partisan voting public are more in the numbers, and those might be swayed not by any political affiliation or leaning, but so by performance and what they see.
Where you begin to see. That's where you begin to see people like Ayatollah look attractive.
Yeah.
If only they rally.
Now the idea now is that those who think that Bola Tinubu may have won based on structure and the kind of people and the state that he has won, but what about performance and the kind of shocker and surprises that some people, the permutations are saying that in several states there will be surprises. There are some of these governors that have gone automatic ticket that may not return because voters will judge by what they see, the performance. Is their lives better? Are they more secure? Is their living wage achieved and all of that?
I hear you. I think if there's anything they are guilty of, and it's not my duty to help them solve it, they are guilty of not being able to communicate their things in simple ways. But be assured, I have done the count. You have done the physical count. Okay, let's look at, for instance, let's look at Katsina. You look at where Masari, the one senior, Masari Junior, where is he? Where is Shema? Do you understand? Where is Lado Haske? No matter if it's in PDP, it's going to. Where you will count. You will go to Kano. Okay, where is Aliko? Where is Bao? You don't understand? Where is this? Where is that? You will go to you will count. You have to do the count. And when you do this count, you begin to say, okay, are the local government chairmen that are now enjoying better resources allocation to them, are they going to just wake up in their local government and just sleep so that who is going to even give you the structure? Yeah. You can't even organize yourself in the opposition when they wanted to beat PDP in 2015. Fact of the matter is that Buhari brought some governors. Bola Tinubu brought some AD governors. They brought some ACN, what they call it, they brought some CPC. On top of that, they cracked about 5 of the PDP governors joined. Have you seen any governor going to go and say it's with them?
All right.
When you say when they now say it's so simple,
yeah.
they make you kind of like pity them because it.
So 2027 will pose some surprise, but the way the opposition is behaving, it does look like they are giving Bola Tinubu.
No, I'm beginning to think that 2027 is already a done deal. People will just have to maybe struggle for other positions because the presidency is not as simple as that.
When I watched Ayatollah's video on Twitter earlier today, I felt maybe, just maybe, if our voting pattern are not just linear, and people could look in the...
It depends on him.
And there are so many candidates out there, aspirants, who've got a very strong track record from the private sector. But I wish them the very best.
Oh, yes, I wish them the very best. Please remember, Ogun, to Central will decide where this thing is going to go.
It's going to be interesting. But Mr. Solomon Yayi, my intelligence I'm hearing as a journalist, you've got to brace up.
It's not yet to Huru.
Legally speaking, it's got to brace up.
It's not yet to Huru.
Things are going to be...
It's not yet to Huru.
Difficult days ahead.
Yeah. yes, sure. Yeah.
Chief Shegun, thank you so much indeed.
Sure, it's a
pleasure. That's our show tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. God bless you.